Hey guys, I've had a bunch of requests from you guys out there asking me to do some videos on some other little topics, like do a video on my car history or tools I use or my job background or whatever. So I thought I would make some quick little videos each week, just answering some of your questions. So this week I thought I'd start with my car history. So my first car sort of was my grandmother's old car that my parents gave to myself and my brother, basically to stop us driving their cars. And at the time it was really uncool, and it was actually a brown Datsun 200B station wagon that we called the Sponge, because that's how it handled. It was automatic, it was really slow, which I think my parents loved because it made it hard for us to get into much trouble with it. And it was really ugly. Apparently it was originally metallic brown, and at some stage my grandmother repainted it into a flat, we called it baby shit brown. And it was really an ugly car. But looking back at it now it could be kind of cool with a better engine in it, of course. But at the time it was really bad. My first car, the first car I bought with my money was a beige VK Commodore. It was a manual. It was a 5-speed manual, which I thought was pretty cool, and I enjoyed that. But it was a straight 6. It was on LPG, and it really, it wasn't that exciting. I wasn't really into cars, and that kept me going for a while. The car that really got me into cars, and the first car that I really enjoyed and loved, and the car that I still look back to this day as being one of my favourites, was a 1994, I think it was, Nissan Pulsar SSS. And that thing was really fun. At the time I was looking at getting a Mitsubishi Lancer GSR, which was the 4-wheel drive turbo but not the Evo. At the time, they were just a little bit more expensive, and I couldn't quite stretch my budget there. But so I got the SSS, which was it went well for the time, and it was only probably a 4-year-old car at the time, and I loved it. That was the first car I ever modified. It was the first car I took to the track, and I really got a lot out of that car, and learned about driving a slow car fast in that car. I often found myself on a racetrack or on a twisty road with a bunch of guys with much more powerful turbo cars that I'd get really frustrated because I'd be up behind them on the twisties in the track or on the country road, and then realise on the straights they just pulled away from me, and I'm like, oh, that's right, they're a lot more powerful than I am. So I really enjoyed being able to push that car to its limits, and I really loved that car. I did evolve that car. That was the first car I ever airbrushed, and a lot of you are going to cringe, but you have to remember that this is probably around the year 2000 that I painted this car. Actually, it was the Christmas of New Millennium that I painted this car, and that was my foray into airbrushing. It's what made me realise I could get out of the army and be a full-time artist, and that's what got me into painting cars and also into the show car scene, which I know a lot of you are probably going to be going, no, but that's what I was into. And so I did that car up as Slither, which was the number plate, and as I'm probably posting up pictures here, it was in Hot Fours magazine in 2000. That was the first time I got a car in a magazine, and that was the start of my career as an airbrush artist, and I went on from there. After that car, I got rid of that, and I decided, instead of modifying it anymore and losing money on turboing it or doing something like that. It would have just been throwing money into the wrong vehicle to start with, and I got rid of it and I bought a Nissan Skyline R33 Gtst. I loved that car when I first got it, just as a standard car. It was big and it was heavy, but that was my first proper experience of owning a turbo car, and the rush of the turbo power was definitely a lot of fun. And I got it as a burgundy car, and that is actually what that bonnet up on the background is from. That was a bonnet I did. I knew I was replacing that bonnet very soon, so I just quickly airbrushed that car as a bit of a demonstration piece, and that bonnet was soon replaced with a fiberglass one. I took the whole car back off the road and airbrushed the entire car inside and out. Did a bit of engine work on that car, and it wasn't crazy power. I can't exactly remember the power figure it had at the time, but I remember I took it to the quarter-mile drag strip, the old Eastern Creek quarter-mile drags, and I did a 13.1 at 108 mile an hour, and that was with the really terrible, crappy 18-inch tyres that I had. It definitely had add more in it with probably a better driver, and but that was fun. But I soon realised that I actually had more fun in my Triple S, that I could drive harder, particularly in the twisties. I realised that I liked smaller cars, and I really enjoyed getting the most out of smaller cars. And thinking back on it now, the Skyline was great and had heaps of power in a straight line, but it was way too big and heavy to really throw around. And the Skyline was fun, but it was something that I moved on from, and I always go back to my little Triple S, and I think that's what really drew me to Porsches. When I could afford to get something, I always thought I'd get something a bit older, that it's never going to be the fastest thing out there, but it's going to be so much more fun driving it to the limit, and that's where my passion for these smaller old cars really came into its fore, and that's I suppose that memory of that car, that Polestar Triple S, is really what I'm just trying to recreate today with something a little bit more exotic, I suppose. All right, guys. Well, as I said, just a quick video this week. That's just the. I thought I'd fill in just the start of my my car experience and the sort of the show car portion of my car history. If you guys have any questions or any topics you'd like me to cover, please let me know. As always, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.